Today we're super excited to talk with Bart Miller. He's the VP of Sales for Klymit. Klymit's a big outdoor brand. They make some of the best sleeping pads, tents, everything you want for outdoor camping or backpacking. Before that, Bart was the VP of Sales for Goal Zero, another pretty significant brand in this space. You were also the COO for Goal Zero.
Yep.
How's it going, Bart?
It's great. I'm excited to be here with you, Colton.
Yeah, thanks for letting us.
Yeah.
We're here in the Klymit outlet. You guys continue to win like tons of awards for pretty much everything you come out with. How has Klymit been handling the recent events? I know you guys Klymit is found everywhere. The main thing that I noticed when searching Klymit is like you can find Klymit product absolutely everywhere.
Yeah.
You guys are online, you guys are in shops. So what have you seen be affected most from the sort of recent COVID-19 developments?
Yeah, brick and mortar has been the most impacted. That was a big problem, I guess, starting in March when brick and mortar retailers just didn't know how it was going to go. So some of them shut down, some of them just canceled orders, not knowing if they were just going to be sitting on inventory forever. But e-commerce seems to be very strong. In fact, we're beating all of our projections and last year for our e-commerce and e-retailer channels.
Yeah, we saw a stat the other day that e-commerce sales globally are up like 200% or something.
Makes sense.
That.
We're seeing it. I mean, yeah.
If brands weren't selling before online, they should definitely be considering doing that right now if they weren't already.
I should be past the consideration stage and into execution for sure. I think.
What would you say to brands who haven't made the leap and are still 100% reliant on their wholesale channels?
Yeah, if you're 100% reliant on wholesale, I think that's okay because most of those dealers and retailers these days are good at e-commerce and probably driving a lot of traffic to their own e-commerce site. So as long as you're selling on the retailer's e-com sites, you're probably doing okay, I would guess.
Okay, but what if the retailers aren't online? They're just shops that are, maybe not open right now.
I would guess the last 60 days or so have been very tough. Yeah, and a lot of really scary moments.
A question about Klymit. When you guys started, were you guys selling online first and then went out to wholesale, or was it kind of wholesale first, or was it both at the same time? How did you guys tackle that? Because you guys are definitely online now.
Yeah, I came into Klymit in 2014, so I'm 6 years in here. And I definitely have my sales approach is to definitely sell online and through e-commerce. Then we put a lot of focus on in-store retail selling and marketing as well.
We've talked to retailers who kind of feel like when brands do that, their perspective is like, okay, now my biggest competition is the brand that I'm carrying.
Yep.
So how do you guys kind of deal with that conflict with your retailers?
It's a great question, and it's absolutely something you have to deal with as a brand in outdoor because specialty retailers are so important, and we want to support them as much as we can. And it is unfortunate some of those type of shop owners just are not willing to deal with a brand that is selling online and they view it as direct competition, like you said.
Yeah.
So we have to pass those opportunities just to be fair to those shop owners, and just we're clear with what our strategy is and what we're going to do.
We just read that the U.S. is probably the most over-retailed country. We have more retail square footage per person than any other country. And now with what's going on recently with stores kind of closing and having some difficult time, they're expecting sort of a correction there. Is Klymit well suited to shift a lot of their sales to e-com, or how reliant is Klymit on wholesale? Are you guys pretty flexible on that?
Yeah, we're omni-channel, and we have a big part of our sales team focused on e-commerce selling. So even as unfortunately brick and mortar shops had to shut down, we've been pretty nimble and pretty quick to put more emphasis and more marketing toward our e-commerce, either through our retail partners' websites or on our own, and so people can find us. And as the weather has warmed up and we're all getting cabin fever after having been quarantined for a couple months, we're seeing huge success online.
That's an interesting point because I haven't really talked to anyone yet who sees retail e-commerce as like a really viable channel.
Yeah.
So you guys it's kind of your channel also, and especially for brands who don't sell online themselves. You commented earlier, like, retailers selling online is also very important, especially if the brand itself isn't selling direct. If a retailer has its own website, that's like very important for you guys as well.
Important. Yeah, I mean, look at the money that's been put in by, whatever your favorite outdoor shop is or gear shop is. Go check out their website. I mean, I promise they put a lot of resource into making it a great shoppable, great e-com experience over the last few years.
So essentially, everyone should be selling online.
I don't know how many millions of square feet the U.S. has lost in brick and mortar retail over the last 5-6 years, but it is so significant. You think about, we all used to shop at Sports Authority, and that's gone. Like, that's just one example of many that are just gone now.
Right.
So if you're good at e-commerce, I think you're probably much better equipped to survive whatever's coming next in retail.
Maybe in-store traffic isn't necessarily what it used to be, but they're finding different ways to make sales and kind of fit into this landscape. Do you see the role of retailers changing much from where it is now?
I think that the retailer, the brick and mortar retailer, and if you go look at any of them right now, their merchandising compared to what it was even 5 years ago. I mean, the presentation and what the shelves look like and what our products look like on shelf, just the presence, all of that is something that only a brick and mortar retailer can provide. Can't really be done in the same way online. And then obviously the customer service, knowledgeable staff that can walk you through your purchase decisions is something that can't be duplicated online. Touch, feel, all those kind of things.
So they very much still have a role to play in how your brand is like presented to customers in person. You'd say that that's still a very vital part of retailers.
Yeah, and the whole experience.
When we talked to Wasatch Touring down the street, he was kind of like, people come in and look at the product and they're stoked on the product, and then they go home and buy it online, not from us.
Yep.
So if retailers are still so important to like the customer journey and exposure for the brand and all that, how do we support the retailers to make sure they can stay in business?
I think it's a great question and the right question. Like, how does a brand make sure that every year they're seeing incremental growth? Because if they can collectively get all their brands to do stuff, like maybe you give some examples of things that we do are offer exclusive product launches to brick and mortar retail partners. So for maybe the first 6 months of a sleeping bag's life in the market, certain retailers get to carry it exclusively. That's one way you can support your retail partners. Very cool. The right ad and promotional pricing at the right time.
So like coordinated product launches, that's a cool idea. We haven't heard that one before.
Yep.
We've definitely heard people talk about like rev sharing based on like area code or zip code. Someone comes into a store, you can attribute like a sale to maybe that store and maybe share some of that revenue that maybe the consumer purchased that product online. Based on where the product is going, like, it's going to 84116. This guy got it, looked at it at Wasatch Touring. We'll give them part of the sale.
Cool idea.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we've also seen, speaking on behalf of Clippers, a lot of people are doing this retailer fulfillment thing. So we have brands who are like, okay, someone's selling it online, but we're going to allow the retailer to fulfill the order. So that's like another way that the retailer can make a sale, but that the brand can make their product super available. So like, we think these are pretty cool ideas, but what you're saying is that whatever that this evolution of the retailer is, like, we need to figure out ways to keep them involved because they are very important too.
Yeah. Like,
you guys are very omnichannel focused. So supporting them however you can is very, very important. You have seen the value in retailers, and if you had advice for brands who are thinking of going online but are afraid of maybe upsetting their retailers, you would encourage them to figure out a way to do both, supporting them while also being omni-channel.
It's brick and mortar and retail is still more than half of our total business. And very important. We love what happens in a retail setting with our product, And lots of different ways to support it. I would say the very best way, like the number one thing I can do for a retail partner is use my data that I gather from e-commerce or however else we're selling to be sure that because of the limited shelf space I get in a retail shop, to make sure it's filled with the fastest moving Klymit product available. So I'll use all my data to say, this is what you should carry for the season. It's going to turn really fast. And
that's awesome.
If we're on the same page with our retailers as far as that goes, right program for the right retailer, and they're flying through our stuff, you're limited usually to 4 to 8 products, different products in any given retailer, depending on the shelf space you get. So if all of them are fast moving, that's the very best thing I can do for my retail partner. One other thing that we're doing to support retail is if they do have websites, and good e-commerce, in some cases we can take the inventory risk away from our retail partners, and we can offer, more of our full assortment on their website, through their website, and drop ship from our warehouse. So we're doing the handling, packing, and we'll ship out individual orders for those retail partners.
That's so cool.
So that's another way. You do have to put a little bit into your operation, some investment into making sure you can support that kind of packing and shipping scenario and a drop ship scenario from your retailers' websites. But we do that. I mean, that's becoming a bigger and bigger part of our business all the time. Yeah.
I haven't heard that. So that's kind of interesting. So Quivers, our software, helps retailers fulfill orders for the brand, but you guys help fulfill orders for the retailer.
Yes. Yeah.
So when an order is placed on a retailer's website, you guys get the order and you drop ship it for the retailer, so they don't have to stock tons and tons of product in their stores.
And it allows them to, instead of only carrying 4 or 5 items where they're limited to shelf space in stores, they can carry 30, 40 different Klymit items.
So they could essentially show your entire catalog on their website if they wanted to.
Yep.
Wow. Would you say that's definitely one of the channels that's like growing very quickly in your company?
Because I don't think that many brands or manufacturers are willing to hold all the inventory. But I think if you've been a partner with a certain retailer for a while, and you can work together with that buying team to forecast out here's what we're going to buy for in-store, and here's what we think we might sell during the season of certain items then we can forecast together, hold the inventory here, and then they buy it as they sell it, and we ship it.
So when you guys forecast, when you guys are giving data to your retailers, this is what's selling really well, is it segmented by region, or what you guys have been seeing sell on your website? How do you coordinate with the retailer to say this is what we think is going to sell in your store?
Yeah, it's all of the above, and that's a good question. For example, in the Rocky Mountain states, we sell a lot of insulated mattresses and 0-degree sleeping bags. You go southeastern states, and we sell 0 insulated sleeping mattresses and 35 or 50-degree sleeping bags. Yeah. So it's very regionalized and data driven by region. And we can get a lot of that. We do get a lot of that data from our what sells and where we ship from our own website.
We see a lot of people try and go online, and then they just kind of ditch their retailers, and we've seen that not work very over and over again. I don't want to name names, but there's a ski company specifically that they were through stores and then decided we're just going to go direct, and then people couldn't buy their stuff. Yeah. And they're like, oh crap, we got to get back into these stores. So what you're saying is it's definitely a joint effort. People need to work together with their retailers if they want to be successful. This whole omni-channel idea isn't just a theory. It works for you guys.
Yeah, I think number one, you have to have a great product. I mean, nothing happens without great product and a great product line. But then the affordability and then the availability to the customer are the next 2 most important things, I think, is to make it accessible for everyone. It has to be available where they want to shop. And obviously, if a retailer's thriving and they've still got stores open and they're doing great, then why wouldn't I don't understand why you would not want to take advantage of working with them.
For sure, yeah, and we agree. We think that's we think retailers are still very, very relevant.
Yeah.
Klymit can pretty much be found anywhere. You Google it, and I even found Klymit on Walmart's online store. So like, really, the availability to the consumer of Klymit is probably like an A+. I'm assuming that's by design. Like,
for sure,
consumers are we want it wherever we're shopping. We want to be able to buy it wherever we are, whenever we want it. So is that, you would say that making your product available is one of the most important things you can do from a sales point?
Yeah, so that is our strategy, yes.
Yeah.
There is a big problem with kind of those open platform e-commerce sites like Walmart.com. So anybody who owns a Klymit or any brand, they can go on Walmart, create a product page and sell. It's just an open marketplace.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So even if we didn't want it on any given website or whatever, there's in many cases, and it's a big problem for some of our retailers, just hate it that they find our stuff certain places online, and but they're open marketplaces that you just can't control. Anybody who owns your product can go sell it, even if it's used. They can go on a lot of different websites and sell it as used. Yeah.
So kind of like Amazon, where like if someone, like retailers, can just set up a store and sell your product under their own name.
Yep.
How that must be like a branding nightmare. How
Very
do you
tough.
how do you handle
So
that kind of stuff?
you control everything you can.
Yeah.
The main thing that we think we can do is control supply. So where does our product go? Obviously, the end customer, if they go buy 2 things, they can still resell them if they don't want them. But as far as us, we're picky on who we sell to.
Yeah.
So we only important retailers, and only through our own website. We really try to control where at the wholesale cost where our product goes.
Okay. Yeah. So in that sense, like, how do you? Obviously, you guys have set up a pretty robust store on Amazon. So the way your brand is perceived by a consumer is very controlled. You're in charge of your product, but in those other instances where anyone can sell your product anywhere, is that kind of like a branding nightmare? Like, how do you?
There's an entire industry in trying to help control that. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really just one of those. It's like a necessary evil of selling online. Really, it's just like people are gonna have your product, and you can only control what you can control.
And even if you don't sell online, even if you only sell through your own specialty retail or your own website, as soon as people can get their hands on your stuff, you're going to find it on other. You're going to find it on Jet.com or whatever. Or eBay.
Right. So anyone that has any product can sell it online, whether or not the brand is online or not.
For sure. That's why it's just important to have strategic programs with retailers in any way that you sell.
Yeah, so it's just like having that open line of communication, like, guys, this isn't us, but it's something that happens, and we are still here to support you, and this is just one of these fluke things where like someone is randomly selling one of our products online.
And also it's where innovation comes in, and launching new items every year. So you might find, the 2017 version of whatever of our sleeping pad and pillow on those more undesirable places online that we don't control, but you're going to find brand new stuff for 2020 that's only available from us or our desired retail partners.
Yeah, so if you want the newest, best stuff, that's almost exclusively coming from you guys.
Totally. Yeah.
Awesome. We didn't know that. We knew that you guys sold online and were in stores, but your whole take on omni-channel is just like really refreshing to us, because we know that it works, but it's this whole message, getting it to other brands who maybe aren't selling online or only selling online, that retail needs to kind of be this encompassing thing from online to offline. All the channels need to be working together, and I think from what I've gathered from you, that's like a very important way to sell your product. You just have to have everyone involved.
It's not the only way, and definitely different. I would say especially the most mature brands and older brands in outdoor maybe don't do it the same way, but I've built Goal Zero and now Klymit sells through this same strategy, and both have gone really well. Yeah,
so there you go, guys. Klymit, they are obviously a huge leader in the outdoor space, and they're making their product available pretty much everywhere. You can buy it where you want it, when you want it, and we think that's almost rule number one. You have to make your product available, and you guys are killing it at that. So
I agree.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Bar. It was really a pleasure to
Thanks,
talk
Colton.
to you. It was really enlightening. So thank you for your time.
Okay. It was great. Thank you.